Hello, everybody. Welcome to this Protection Insight podcast. Joining me today is Gavin Judd, who works for LifeQuote, and he's a business development manager. So welcome to the podcast, Gavin. How are you today?
Hello, Vince. Yes, very well. Thank you very much for having me on board. Appreciate it.
Good.
Yes.
And what we're going to do in this podcast today is we're going to take a look at one of the key LifeQuote services that we've got access to that actually many of our advisors don't tend to use too much, but it is really, really good. So just to get us started and maybe to set the tone for the podcast, Gavin, can you just talk about what LifeQuote is as an organisation from a higher level point of view?
Yeah, certainly. So LifeQuote has been around a long time. We're part of a company called Direct Life and Pension Services. Direct Life was launched in 91 and we launched the LifeQuote brand in 2001. We're literally only in business to help advisors write more protection. So we offer technology and services all geared towards that to basically make it as easy as possible for advisors to write as much protection as possible and as easily as possible. That's really what we're here for and what we're about, really.
And you've got lots of different services. Now, some of our advisors have got access to one particular, and there's a few that they don't, but obviously we're going to have conversations about those in the coming weeks and months. So can you talk to us, Gavin, about Apply and Manage? So this is the focus of this podcast today. What is it?
So you're absolutely right. So we have two parts to our proposition. The LifeQuote platform, which is a technology proposition that will be hopefully coming a little bit later on to TRM advisors. And the Apply and Manage service is effectively the service that we provide to hundreds and thousands of advisors every month, essentially making it easy as possible for advisors to write as much protection as possible by removing an awful lot of the administration burden. So in simple terms, we offer whole of market tele-interview services. So you can pass your client to us. We handle the medical questions with the client. And we also have case managers dedicated to chasing any GP surgeries and any extra information from the insurers. So the advisor would still handle the recommendation and the research and all that sort of thing. But once the client's ready to move forward, you pass it to us. We handle the medical data capture over the telephone with the client. We submit the information to the insurer on behalf of the advisor. And then our guys do everything under the sun to get the policy on risk, obviously saving you the time of having to do it yourself. That's the idea.
And that service is, of course, called Apply and Manage. So I know that you have three sort of headlines as to the benefits that advisors and businesses can benefit from. Can you run through those, Gavin?
Yeah, so of course. So in reality, Apply and Manage, as I've sort of touched on already, is designed entirely to help advisors grow their protection income. So what we wanted to do was find key benefits for advisors that would do that. You know, that's the whole point of having a proposition that's designed to help advisors. So really, if I'm drilling it down to three, it's about one point of contact and, you know, essentially giving one point of contact so advisors don't have to worry about going to all the normal points of contact they would when they're writing protection business. Growing income. So because we're able to make things a lot more simple and, you know, make it a little bit easier and provide some time saved, there's a lot more, you know, income to be made for the advisor. And then finally, really, it's about sort of essentially removing risk for advisors. Because we handle that medical data capture piece, it takes a lot of the risk out of that for the advisor and the client and makes it a little bit more easy to not have to worry about that risk.
Okay, let's break that down in a bit more detail then. So in terms of the benefit to an advisor and, of course, the reality of going through this journey, what does it look like to have one point of contact? Why is that of benefit? Just talk us through.
Well, again, you know, we deal with lots of different networks, lots of different types of advisors, you know, not just mortgage and protection advisors. We deal with financial planners, all different types of advisors dealing with all different types of clients. Now, everyone's got different types of processes in their businesses and different ways of doing things. But one thing that's common for all advisors that are writing protection is lots of different insurance companies, lots of different clients with different needs, lots of different GP surgeries, you know, having to be involved in the underwriting process, lots of extra information. And if you're an advisor trying to write more protection, especially if you're a busy mortgage advisor, and you're trying to get into the habit of doing more protection and finding the time, it's a little bit daunting if, you know, you've got 9, 10, 12 insurers to deal with. They've all got different websites. If you've got 5 or 6 cases going through at once, you know, you're going to have to log into all those insurer websites to keep an eye on things. And again, if you've got a few cases that don't get accepted straight away and the insurer asks for extra information, guess what? You've got another raft of different people to contact in GP surgeries and extra things. So with us, you've got one dedicated case manager that handles all of those different third parties for you. So you can speak to that person on the telephone. They handle all the insurers and get all the updates from all the GPs and everything and keep you and the client up to date. And also, you've got one case tracking tool. So you don't have to log into each insurer site to track your cases. You track them all on LifeQuote's website. So hence one point of contact, nice and easy for the advisor.
Really good. So I've got a situation where I've given the financial advice, but I don't want to do all of the administrative work, so I hand it over to LifeQuote, and that journey then looks the same, and I've got one single point of contact each and every time.
Yeah, basically, the whole sales process for the advisors, doesn't change really. You're still using your solution builder system or whichever platform you're using to get your quotes. That doesn't change. You still have the same advice process and recommendation process, and you still get paid the full commission, and the client's premium doesn't change. But once the client's ready to move forward, you pass it to us via one simple journey. And literally, you book in a telephone appointment for us to call the client, and we take it from there for you. And you've got that universal journey for every client, every type of product and insurer. It just makes it much more easy to understand and easier to grow.
Really good. Okay. And you talk about growing income. How have you seen across the market where businesses can actually really see an improvement in revenue because of using these services?
Well, again, there's with a service that we provided, what we want to try and do is create something that saves enough time and makes things more simple so that the advisors and their businesses can make things more efficient and use that time saved to write more business. So if you can imagine at the moment, you might have an advisor business that has advisors handling every element of the protection process. Some firms might have administrators or power planning support teams that are helping the advisor. But all of those elements that I've talked about already, gathering the medical questionnaire information, passing that to the insurer, dealing with all that extra information the insurer needs. If someone within your business is having to do that, and we can remove all of that time wasted, then your business is going to be able to write more protection or more mortgages, depending what you want to do, how much you want to spend the time on. But the bottom line is if you can do a 20 to 30% mortgage to protection conversion, and with LifeQuote you can do 50 to 60, you can see where the extra income comes. And that's why we have got a business where we've been working with lots of these major networks and large directly authorized businesses for about 20 years now. That's why it's worked.
Really good. Excellent. And risk is obviously something on everybody's mind. I mean, we all want to try and mitigate risk as much as possible. You sort of have this as a bit of a headline, you remove risk. Talk us why that's the case.
Well, again, if you think about things from a GDPR perspective, abbreviation everyone hates hearing, and everyone now knows you have to tick a box anywhere you go. They're looking after my data. It's going to be dealt with in that way. Everyone's aware of where their data is. Well, anytime that an advisor handles a medical questionnaire with a client, however they're doing it, if they're doing it over the telephone, face-to-face, they're gathering that medical information. Not only is it awkward and a bit of time consuming, as we've already covered, it is obviously putting that medical information in the hands of the advisor, and you're responsible for capturing that information. When we capture it, we record all of our calls and we read the questions as the insurers want them to be read, and therefore take responsibility fully for the data capture process. So if in 10 or 15 years time the client wants to make a claim and for some reason there's an issue with what was said and the insurer needs to dispute it or whatever, that data capture process, we as LifeQuote are completely responsible for that. You as the advisor own the client and you're completely, obviously responsible for the advice, but you cannot have to worry about any of that risk. So we remove all the risk of that non-disclosure and make it a lot more cleaner, the entire process, and a bit more modern, if you like, rather than having to deal with all this data capture in different areas.
Brilliant. Okay, so basically one point of contact, so one journey every time if you use this. Obviously the time savings are going to give you the ability to really grow your income, and that's quite a big piece about that disclosure, that mitigation of risk there, because it's actually you guys that are actually picking up all that medical and application information from the customer. So with advisors watching the podcast, Gavin, let's just say someone's interested in actually using this. What's the next steps? What would they do?
Well, we've tried to make that as simple as possible. We've already got an agreement with the network. So essentially, if you're an advisor and you're interested in finding out more or you want to sign up, there isn't any subscription sign-up fee or monthly subscription cost. Essentially, you just need to get in contact with us. So you can come to me. I'll obviously share the information about my contact details, or just contact the sales support team at LifeQuote, salessupport@lifequote.co.uk, nice and easy. There's information on our website. You can sign up there or give us a ring. But the bottom line is there's no lengthy forms. It's a very, very simple, I'd like to start, and we'll get it all set up for you.
Okay. And let's talk about pricing, because I know that advisors watching this might well be very interested in how much this costs. It's not free. So what does the pricing look like, Gavin?
Well, what we've done in the past, as I said, we've been doing this for around 20 years, and our historic model was a commission share. So we used to share the revenue of the commission that the advisor earned on the case, and of course that was a percentage, and a larger case would be a bigger payaway for the advisor. But that worked well, and it is in place in other networks. What we actually agreed with the Right Mortgage, though, is a bit more competitive. We've actually capped the cost, so there's no commission share. Your commission from the insurer is exactly the same when you're using us. We basically do a capped fee. It starts at either £30, 55, 75 or 95, depending on how much work we do effectively. So, if you submit a case to us and it's a relatively simple one, it doesn't take lots and lots of chasing and lots of extra administration, you don't have to pay the full 95. However, if we do need to write to the GP and there's a few extra bits and bobs and it goes on for a while, as a lot of you will know these cases do, then, the maximum you'll ever pay is £95. The beauty of that, I think, is thinking about, as an advisor, what's an hour of your time worth? If you think about the time saved, hours and hours we'll be chasing things for you and getting things done, the time in the medical application, and the commission you'll earn. Let's say an average commission is, I don't know, £800, £1,000 on a protection case, and our cost is never more than 95. Regardless of how much work we do, even if your case is a £10,000 case, it'll only ever be £95 we charge you maximum. So hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea about it. Obviously, I can send around some information afterwards.
Fantastic. Okay. And I think the final thing I wanted to ask you about is the integration with Solution Builder, because our advisors will have seen the LifeQuote logo. All you need to do is land into Solution Builder and there's a LifeQuote logo there. So talk us through how that integration works.
So I touched to begin with on the fact that we have our own platform, and some advisors within the network might know the LifeQuote platform in the past. Now, previously we used to compete with the likes of Solution Builder and AsureWeb on the exchange, but a few years back we struck a deal to make sure that we could provide our services to people that are using any platform. So the way it works is when you're going through your Solution Builder quotes and you're doing your research, at the end of the process you'll have the option to effectively go to the insurance company's website and process the case yourself, or hand off the case to LifeQuote, and essentially you'll have the option there to do it. It's worth saying now that you can pick and choose. You don't have to place all your business with LifeQuote. You don't have to do all your business direct. You can choose which cases you pass to us. And when you click that hand off to LifeQuote button, all it does is ask you for some very basic details from your client so we can get in contact with them. And then you book in the telephone appointment. We call the client, at the time that you've asked us to. It's all integrated and all created between LifeQuote and Solution Builder and iPipeline. So it's, joined up. And if you do say you're interested to sign up, we just basically turn that integration on so you can get access to it and start working with us straight away.
Fantastic. Really good. Well, I think that's a nice flavour for what the service is. And I think many of our advisors won't really be aware of what that looks like. So it's probably worth taking a look in a bit more detail, at least give yourself the option to use it as and when the time arises, really. So that's really good, Gavin. Thank you so much for spending a bit of time with us going through that. Obviously, we'll put your details on the podcast, so anyone who wants to get in touch and explore further will be able to do so. So thanks, obviously, to anyone who's watching the podcast. I hope you found this useful. And until next time, it's bye for now.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.